Welcome back to the NRL Punters Weekly Digest, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know leading into this week's NRL matches. It's time to talk about the NRL's proposed two-conference competition system. But before we get into that topic, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, if you haven't thrown me a bone and given me a little subby sub, please do so now. And obviously, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the NRL's proposed two-conference competition system. Now, unless you've been living on a completely different planet or just completely shut out from any media at all, rugby league related or otherwise, you would have heard about the NRL's proposed two-conference competition system, which is kind of similar to the US sports model that we see in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, the NHL. Basically, over in the States, you've got an East and a West Coast conference. They have finals in each of those conferences. You get a champion in each conference, and then the two champions of their respective conferences play each other in a final series. In this case, it would be a grand final. I like the forward thinking that the NRL has, and we've seen a lot of this since Abdo and Volandis have taken charge of the NRL as CEO and chairman respectively. There's a lot of forward thinking there. There's a lot of ways. How can we improve the game? There's been a lot of tinkering with the rules, which we've been quite used to for years now, but I feel like the tinkering that we've had with the rules over the last two seasons has really helped improve the quality of the game and turn it into something that can legitimately be marketed overseas. The game's obviously a lot faster now. It's a lot more in line with like an NFL style, like pure kind of running game. I know there's a lot of stop-start in the NFL, but there's a lot less stop-start than we had previously in the NRL, which makes it a lot more palatable, a lot easier for foreign markets to digest and perhaps replicate in their own countries, which is ultimately what we'd like to see, is the game of rugby league growing. Not too much information has been given as to how the system would ultimately work, other than, from a really kind of material level. Basically, what you'd have is you'd have an 18-team competition, 9 teams in either conference. There'd be a 9-team Sydney conference. So those are all the current Sydney-based teams. There'd be 9 of those, and then you'd have the all the clubs that are outside Sydney, plus an extra 2 teams. One of those teams being the second Brisbane team, and the other team potentially being a second New Zealand team. Both those teams would play the other teams in their own conference twice during a season, and then the teams from the other conference once in a season. Then come finals time, the top 4 sides of each of those conferences would play each other in finals. The winners of those respective conferences would play each other in a GF. I'm not sure how who plays who in those finals formats. I guess that's kind of like a minor detail at this stage. But I like the fact that the NRL is thinking forward and thinking of new ways that we can do things. An alternative to this was proposed by Buzz Rothfield, who's obviously a legendary rugby league journo in this country, appears quite often on NRL 360, and he's all over our rugby league social media. He came out with the proposition of a system similar to the English Premier League relegation system, where the bottom 2 sides at the end of a regular season of the English Premier League, they drop into the Championship, and then the 2 top-seeded sides from the Championship are promoted up to the Premier League. So something similar there. I feel like that involves a lot more, because you've got to manufacture new clubs, or you've got to raise current reserve grade teams to kind of like a higher than reserve grade, but lower than the top flight kind of level of competitive side. And I'm not sure if we've got enough teams across New South Wales and Queensland to be able to do that successfully, in terms of, well, there are enough teams, but in terms of us being able to have a quality of players that are potentially NRL ready if they're coming up from that second tier competition. My thoughts on either of these suggestions is I'm not a fan at all. I love that the NRL is thinking forward and trying to do new things to improve the game. I think that this is completely unnecessary. I like the current finals model. It's very straightforward. Top 8 make it, top 8 don't make it, and it's very easy to follow what we have currently. I think it's very fair. The top 4 sides are rewarded for how they played in the regular season with home away matches, etc. The second chance for highest placed losers in the first round of finals. I like how it works. I don't think we should change anything. What do you think? Do you like the idea of either of these models? Would you like things to stay as they are? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.